everybody. Now I should be live. Let's see here. No, we'll close that out. Am I live yet? Shoot. I don't see my... Where's my stream? Oh, I'm definitely live. Here we go. Which tab was I using? Ah, here we go, here we go, here we go. Alrighty, here we are. We are live. Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, January 13th. We're getting pretty close to the Clarity Act, so set those calendars for January 15th. It's coming up soon. I'm a little nervous about it. In today's stream, what we're going to do, we'll start off with a wellness check that includes going through the market, see how they moved overnight. We'll look at silver and gold. We'll check out the Japanese bond market, which has moved quite a bit overnight. And we could take a look at the overall stock market as well, just to get an overall wellness check. From there, we'll hop into Twitter, see what we can find people saying about the Clarity Act. I do think there's going to be some drama that could potentially have it delayed or, worst case scenario, the Clarity Act doesn't go through at all. Maybe some people might argue that's actually a good thing. We'll kind of unpack that in a little bit. And then pretty cool, I got a shout out from Flare Networks themselves. I've only been on YouTube for about 2 months now, so it's really cool to see stuff like that happening. We'll cover all of that in a little bit, but for now, let's say good morning to the audience, and then we're going to jump into the market recap. So good morning, Black Gold. Good morning, Crypto Topaz. Do you think Ripple will acquire Flare at some point? That's a good question. I think it's possible. Ripple acquires things on almost like a weekly basis now. So if you go back and look at all the partnerships that Ripple's acquired over the past 2 years, I mean, they're buying entity after entity. It's almost like a game of Monopoly, and they're landing on every spot on the board. Real quick, wanted to make a quick studio update. I got this window blacked out, so this is gonna improve the aesthetic of the channel by quite a lot. I shoot videos sometimes during the day, kind of like right now we're streaming at 11 a.m. But then at night, like the lighting difference is, it's so much better to shoot at night. By having this window blacked out, I think it's gonna really improve the visual quality of the channel. I also got Dean's sign hung up there. So Dean made the barrel lid that's on my wall here, which is the XRP barrel lid. If any of you guys like this kind of stuff, he's able to make all kinds of custom decorations. So head to ppclaser.com and see what's out there that you want for your own home office. From here, I see Dash is ripping. Hey everyone. What channel is getting better every day, buddy? Keep up the hard work. Good idea with the lighting. Awesome. Thank you, buddy. I'm glad to hear that. What is Dash? Is that a coin? We could take a look at it when we do our wellness check. I'm going to actually start sharing my screen now. By the way, I did a video on Quant. I did a lot of research over the weekend with Quant. I've got a pretty good idea now of how it works, and I'm actually, I would say I'm convinced. It's definitely going into my portfolio going to necessarily go crazy with it. So you guys know I love XRP, Flare, HBAR. Those are my top 3. Could Quant become my number 4 coin? I think it's definitely possible. I'm going to be looking more into Quant, so there's still a lot for me to learn about it, but I got the overall gist of it, and we'll talk about Quant in a minute here, but I just want to do an overall market wellness check. We've seen some movement over the past 24 hours. Bitcoin's potentially going to hit 94,000 by the end of today, which, that's a good sign. As we all know, the altcoins right now are following Bitcoin, so we have not decoupled yet. Looking at the past 24 hours, Bitcoin's moved 2%. So if this trend continues, What I'm hoping for is that we'll get a steady recovery. So if you've checked in the past month, we had a really nice January relief rally that peaked on January 5th, and then we kind of slid back down, not quite to December lows, but it was enough of a slide that I think it took a lot of wind out of people's sails. We're starting to move a little bit back up, and if you look, Bitcoin being at 93 and a half, it topped out early January at, let's see here, 94. So it's very close to doing that full recovery as far as Bitcoin's concerned. The altcoins still have a lot of catching up to do. XRP is still at $2.10. When it peaked on the 5th, it was all the way up to $2.40. So we're still 30 cents away from that. A long way to go until XRP's recovered, but as long as this trend continues, it doesn't have to happen necessarily all in one day. It's good to be able to see at least some price movement towards the upside, and slow and steady wins the race. This weekly graph right here is so interesting to me because you almost never see the crypto market actually being flat like that. I'm not sure what would have caused this, but normally it looks like a heartbeat monitor, right? So to see it flat like that, kind of interesting. I don't know if that's a good or a bad sign, but in the long run, daily charts don't necessarily matter that much. It's the long play. If you're holding XRP, you want to be holding for at least 5 years. I don't personally plan on ever selling my XRP, but if the least you could do is hold on until 2030, these daily fluctuations aren't really going to matter. What matters is the partnerships and getting all the adoption. And it's almost like every week Ripple's got a new announcement coming out. In fact, over here we got something about Dubai and stablecoins. I don't know if this is an XRP related headline here, but it does say Ripple just scored a major regulatory win in Dubai. Its stablecoin RLUSD has been officially recognized for use inside the Dubai International Finance Center. Actually, a pretty big deal. If this is breaking news, that's great because, as a lot of us here on this channel know, XRP is the native token of the XRPL, but Ripple's also created RLUSD to be its sister stablecoin. So what's good for RLUSD is going to, in a roundabout way, be good for XRP as well. Let me check up on the chat. I've seen it moving quite a bit since I hopped over to this screen. Dash is up 51%. Not sure why. Quant let us know. Nate Greenland, America. Good morning from Vietnam. Good morning, West Coast East. Crypto Topaz. Quant will be the glue to hold everything together as well as fill gaps in interoperability, just like Flare's interoperability. That is the key word there, is interoperability. So I'll actually jump to Quant right now because the more I learn about it, the more I think Quant could really be the real deal. 72. Yeah, here we go. So if you don't know what interoperability means, it's the ability for a machine or an entity to be able to use parts from another machine or entity. I had the Merriam-Webster definition of that open, I think on a different tab, but I definitely covered it off in the video that went live this morning. If you guys want to check that out, it's a little bit more formal. And basically the gist of interoperability is, let's think about it in terms of crypto. If I have the XRPL and you've got your Bitcoin ledger and you've got your Hedera hash graph, they're all isolated networks, so they're like siloed off. They don't communicate with each other. What Quant does, its main feature, is it's an operating system that can integrate with each of these different networks so that you could go from the XRPL to the Hedera hash graph or to whatever other ledger you want to use. Maybe you got XLM. And you could do that all in one house, all in one platform. So What's interesting about Quant, it's not actually a blockchain technology. It's an operating system. And that was what really grabbed my attention, because here in the crypto space, you do see so many tokens that are functionally similar to other brands, especially in the lower market caps. There's a lot of coins that are essentially, I don't want to say copies, but it's like apples to apples. And why would you go with one of these lower market cap coins when the industry leader is already available? Well, Quant doesn't really have any other coins that it's competing against. It's kind of doing its own thing. And that's, for me, a really good reason to have it, because it's kind of like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Like, you want one or the other, right? But then if you got Mountain Dew's a different flavor from Coke, so it's different. Quant, in the same way, it solves different problems, and it solves problems that I don't know that other networks are necessarily fixing themselves. I do know that Flare has interoperability as well, but what's really good about Quant is the partnerships that it's got with the United Kingdom. So in the terms of whether or not a coin's going to get adopted and make a big run. Ooh, let me make my box a little taller, by the way. I just caught this. That way my head doesn't get cut off. Having, giant institutions like the Bank of England already saying that they're going to be working with Quant, it basically means that adoption for Quant is all but guaranteed. Whereas some coins don't have a whole lot of partnerships and they have to go out and get them. Maybe those coins I wouldn't necessarily want to buy, but with Quant being in the situation it is, I definitely put this probably in my top 10 list. Not sure I'd put it above XLM or Chainlink, but maybe Quant would go in like my number 6 slot if I had one. I'll probably have to make a follow-up video to the top five coins that I had back in December. Quant would probably go at number 6. I'm still looking into what I think would be 7. Maybe TA0 or TAO. Some people like XDC. The thing about XDC, though, is I've been looking into this one as well. It doesn't do what XRP does, but it does have some overlap. And that doesn't mean that XDC is a bad coin, but if you got something with overlap and it's overlapping with XRP, that's kind of like, and let me put it this way. I don't know if you guys ever played the Halo games, but like in Halo 2 and onward, you had the battle rifle and then you had the carbine. The battle rifle was just better than the carbine, so that even though the carbine was perfectly usable, the battle rifle was just a better option. So nobody used the carbine. And that's kind of similar to how I would see XDC. Doesn't mean it's a bad coin. It's just when you've got something that's so much better, and when I say better, I mean just in pure terms of Ripple's ability to get partnerships. That's why I'm not super bullish on this coin, but I don't think it's a bad one either. I'd still say it's probably a top 10 or top 15 coin. I know there's people out there that ask about it. Stellar, I mean, if you're going to go with an apples to apples approach, you probably want to be buying Stellar over XDC. ZBEC, I still have to look into ZBEC. I've looked at it a few times, I think, but not at a level where I'd be able to talk about it yet. I can add this one to my research list. Still digging into Quant. I think the next coin I'm going to really do a deep dive on is TAO, BitTensor. I've heard multiple different people on Twitter saying that's going to be a big one. Some of the other influencers in this space have BitTensor in their top 3 or top 5 lists. So that's got my curiosity. I don't know enough about it yet to actually be able to talk about it, but I'm putting that one on my research list. Let's catch up with the chat as I haven't looked at it in a few minutes. By the way, I'm gonna really quickly get my chat popped up so I can see it better. Okay, cool. There we go. So we got good morning. Oh, I already hit that one. Flat means consolidation. That's a good point. It actually is a good point. That means that people are, consolidating on XRP. Always a good thing. Cheeky Crypto did a great video on H-Bar today. Later on in the stream, if you guys like, we could actually watch it together. I haven't seen it. What up, 3487? Glad you could join the stream. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Oops, looks like some of us forgot to like. Yeah, like the stream if you can. Let's see. I've got my phone working this time. Looks like I got 16 likes already, which is sweet. From what I can see on my phone, there's 30 of you in here. So if you guys could help me get that number up to 20, that'd be awesome. I won't pause the stream over it, but every like does help get this stream out there into the algorithm for more people to catch on to. Crypto Topaz says it will be a big asset at some point, especially that it has less cap than Bitcoin. Were we still talking about quant with that comment? Because if we were talking about quant, that's true. Quant's market cap, or coin cap anyways, is 15 million. So not that that stuff really matters too much. You know, a coin that has 100 billion tokens or a coin that has 10 million tokens is kind of arbitrary, but it does let you know that like a $75 quant isn't necessarily more expensive than a $2 XRP, if that makes sense. You got to be more relative and look at the market cap. And to that end, quant's market cap is like 1/100th of XRP, which in a way of thinking about it, I know that XRP is not exactly a market cap driven coin, but until it does get adopted, whether we like it or not, it's not really being used full time yet. In order for XRP to go from $2 to $4, it basically has to have like 100 billion injected into it. If you were to inject 100 billion into quant, that thing would be like $70,000 a token. So there is a reason why people like low cap coins, because the runway for like extreme compounding growth is there. So just interesting things to think about. Definitely going to be looking more into quant going forward, and I'll do more research on it to make sure I know, what's really going on with it. Good morning, Daniel. Glad you could join. Yeah, I hope you guys are all having a good day. We got some interesting news with Clarity Act we're going to be jumping into later. R. Haltunen, Andrew, what % chance do you give XRP reaching $100 by 2030? And how about 500 by 2035? Well, I really hate giving out 100%. So I'm never going to give out a 100% chance. So best I can give you is 99% for both of those. $100 I think could happen probably, if I'm being realistic, I don't have a crystal ball, but sorry, I just got a random text. If I were a betting man, I'd say 2028. I think 2026 is going to be a recovery year. The domino theory is still in play, but the domino theory is not guaranteed either. So I don't think we should rest all of our laurels on the domino theory. If the domino theory doesn't play out, probably looking at like a $5 or $6 XRP this year. But then I think 2027 and 2028 are both going to be what Paul Barron's calling the super cycle. So you could see, if you went from like $5 or $6 in 2026, maybe you're looking at 20 to 25 in 2027. And then again in 2028, you probably hit that like 100 to 150 mark. Because I think there's going to be some serious compounding. I just don't think it's going to happen this year unless we have the domino theory play out. It could happen. I mean, it could happen if the domino theory unwinds or the reverse carry trade unwinds. I mean, it could happen the day of the reverse carry trade. That's kind of the big thing. And if you've watched Jake Claver's channel, you know that he talks about that a lot. Um, didn't play out in 2025. We won't dig too far into that rabbit hole. But the domino theory is still in play. I want to cover off the JP10Y, but we'll hit that in a second. Just want to hit up the coins first. But yeah, just as a teaser here, this is an all-time high. Let me make sure, is the stream synced up? I'm just going to look at my phone real quick to make sure you guys are seeing the right stuff here. Looks like I'm ahead of you guys by about 30 seconds, but that's fine. So reverse Curie tree definitely still in play. Hasn't happened yet, but we'll jump into that in just a minute. What's going on, Pat? Glad you guys could join. West goes east. Could you check out Jasmy? It's Japan's legally approved cryptocurrency. We'll take a look at that. Hey man, thanks G Carmen. Thank you for the super chat. I just turned on super chats this week. It's I really appreciate this stuff. You know, I'm taking this channel full time. I don't want to say that I got laid off in November. I was working as a contract worker, but my contract did run to its end date. So in a roundabout way, it's kind of the same end result as losing your job, even though it wasn't technically a firing. I decided at that time, if there was ever going to be a time to start doing YouTube, not having a 9-to-5 job, that was the ample time. And so I'm going to be running this full time for a few months. If I become fully operational, I'll continue indefinitely. By June 1st, I'm going to have to make a decision. Is this channel profitable enough for me to continue? If I choose that it's not, I'll still make videos. It's just I probably won't be able to do the live streams anymore. So to kind of wrap that all up, when you guys super chat or when you guys join the membership program, things like that really help keep me operational. To that point, for those of you watching the stream, if you do want to become a member, I don't exactly have a whole lot that I can offer you as a member at this time. I'm still figuring out how to use the membership page myself. But I do have 3 options out there. There's a $1 option, a $5, and a $10. Essentially what this is doing, if I'm being fully honest with you guys, is it just helps keep me operational. There are some perks I can give you, like you'll get early access to my videos. I was thinking about making a thank you card that goes at the end of videos, things like that. But aside from that, I don't have a whole lot of like crazy exclusive information or anything like that. So being a member is really just to help keep this channel alive. I'll leave that, guys, up to you, and we'll keep moving with the content here. We had a message, but it was retracted. Buying crypto, Flare and non-taxable due to not being wrapped. Please educate the public on this fact. When you say in, was that supposed to be is? Are you saying Flare is non-taxable? Because that part is true. The Flare network is one of the few networks, maybe it's the only network. I don't want to speak in absolutes, but wrapping your tokens on Flare doesn't cause a tax event quite like it would if you were wrapping like Solana or Ethereum. I need to brush up on the mechanisms of why that's a true statement. So give me a chance to look more into that. But I have heard that wrapped Flare tokens are not taxable, whereas, you know, like wrapping Solana or Ethereum would be. So just keep that in mind. I believe the reason for that is like if you wrap Solana, it technically transforms the token into something that it's not originally. How Flare did it differently, I still need to get the official word on that. So what buying crypto set up here is correct, but I need to make sure I have my ducks in a row before I dig into that one further. Retja Pantheon says, "Hey Andrew, what do you think about DPIN? I'm going to have to look more into that one. I don't even know if I've heard of it, to be honest with you. Let's do a quick search. Yeah, if this is what DPIN is, I've never heard of it. So is that something with AI? We'll have to revisit that one. Pure Bloodier says, I just liked your 3x on different accounts. I appreciate it. That's awesome. Freaking American says, don't expect any Clarity Act this year. I hate to say it, but I think he's right. We're going to dig into that in a little bit here, but the Clarity Act could be in big trouble. Crypto Topaz says, I'm glad to see a new channel, meaning yours, that definitely covers Flare more up in there with XRP and other assets around utility. Yeah, you know, XRP and Flare are probably my 1 and 2 coins, and then HBAR number 3. So definitely going to be a channel mostly focused on those, but I'll be branching out too. You know, I see in the crypto space there's a lot of tribalism, so that's something I personally want to avoid. Even if I am, for the most part, an XRP and Flare maxi, you know, I'm still open-minded to, like, hey, there's other stuff out there that accomplishes different goals. Will ZX7, hey Andrew, I'm just now joining in. Love your content. Appreciate you, brother. I was wondering if you need to participate in Flare to hold the asset, and I was also wondering if you're sponsored by Flare in any way. Man, it's really interesting that you say that, because that was what I was going to address later in the stream. Flare reached out to me this morning, so I haven't officially talked to them yet, but they sent me the, hey, we'd like to talk email. So that's pretty cool. I'm not sponsored, or at this time, I'm not affiliated with Flare. That could change. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna have to pull at that thread a little bit, but I did see, I was gonna save this for later in the stream, but since you brought it up, I'm gonna go to Twitter real quick. I saw that Flare gave me a shout out on Twitter. Let me see if I can find the tweet real quick. Yeah, here we go. This was pretty cool. I saw this morning at the gym. This tweet's only 5 hours old. So, I mean, they're putting me up on on their Twitter. That's really cool to me. I mean, I've only been doing this for like 2 months, you guys. So, I had no expectations, and that's pretty sweet that they sent me an email as well. So, we're gonna see what happens with that. Hopefully exciting stuff. I don't know where it could go, but I'm open-minded. Let's see what we got. By the way, guys, I'm gonna open my window. There's something weird going on with my heating, where like I have my house set to 68 degrees, but the heat in this room in particular runs like almost like 80 degrees. I'm gonna actually go turn my thermostat off, because it's almost turning into like a sauna in here. It's gonna be like 2 seconds. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with it. I've got one of them Google Nest. I got one of those Google Nest thermostats. It's set to 69, but it says in the house right now it's 71. So I don't know why it's going over, but the extra heat was distracting me. I had to go take care of that. Hopefully, with the window being open, you guys don't hear too much noise. I'll close it as soon as the temperature in this room gets a little bit more under control. I'm going to drag this out just a little bit. Still tinkering around with how to box up the camera, which I got over here. So yeah, one thing I want to hit before I get too distracted or sidetracked, I do want to talk about the Japanese government bonds, as it had a pretty significant spike overnight. I'm going to shorten this down to a 5-day, and I'm just going to move myself. Where can I move myself? Well, maybe I'll just scroll the screen up a little bit more. We'll see if this gives you a better... I think that's good enough. So we can see right here, it's peaked off this morning at 2.16. So it's up about 8 bips from yesterday, and we had a sharp increase. I don't know what time this happened. Maybe this was at like 11 p.m. or something. Maybe like 11 p.m. Eastern time. Let me see if I can get a better... but in any case, overnight, basically an 8 point sharp uptick, peaked off in the middle of the night at 2.17. So I've said in previous videos, I'm expecting the JP10Y to continue to rise. And if we see it around 2.5 by the summertime, I think the reverse carry trade is at some point going to become inevitable. And just to kind of explain, every time I go over this, I get a little better at explaining it. All of these different entities in the world, like your tech companies or large banks, or in some cases, entire countries themselves, they're going to Japan to get not interest-free loans, but they're going there to get loans, and the Japanese yen has such a low interest rate that in a strange way, it kind of is an interest-free loan. So if you get a loan from the Bank of Japan, if you got a 10-year note to pay it back, you pretty much only have to pay back the balance that you originally took out. And because all of our other currencies are inflationary, just by holding the US dollar, you could actually pay back your loan from Japan and come out ahead. So if you think about it in terms of business, it's almost a certainty that you would never default on a Japanese loan, and the spread on your margin is almost impossible to fail. Well, all of that changes when this thing continues rising the way that it has. So if this gets higher and higher, companies are going to be pressured to start paying their loans back early. And the problem is, you get a Japanese loan, you get loaned out in yen, and then you go turn that yen into something else. When it comes time to pay that loan back, you might not have any yen to actually give them. And so you're going to have to be able to acquire yen in the first place to pay back Japan. So that's what we would call a liquidity crisis, because everybody owes Japan yen, but nobody actually has any to give them. That's where XRP comes into play, because if the Bank of Japan says, you guys can just pay us back in XRP, all these different entities will have no choice but to start buying XRP and essentially paying it to the Bank of Japan. And that's basically domino one of the domino theory. Once that domino falls, the rest of the dominoes will fall, because XRP's price would shoot up. We don't know what it'll shoot up to, but let's just say it shot up to $50. A $50 XRP is around the price point it would need to be for like entry-level settlement of the back end of the stock market. And it would make it just strong enough to start handling miner adoption worldwide. So then more money would pour into it, and that's how you get these price predictions that are in the hundreds. Everyone knows the 589 meme. Not that it would exactly land on that dollar amount, but that's the idea behind the domino theory. So if we keep looking at the yen, I look at this every morning. I still think the domino theory is in play. It didn't happen on the timeline that we wanted it to, but if this does play out, it basically means that whatever you've got, you got. Because when XRP goes to $50 or $100, your ability to stack it basically goes away for good. And so I don't want to be a FOMO-based channel, but that is something to think about. If you're dollar cost averaging into XRP, I'm not saying to stretch yourself by any means, but at the same time, this opportunity could go away at a moment's notice. And so on a personal level, I made sure that I had enough XRP so that if this thing happens, I don't feel like I missed out. But only do what you can do. I don't want to be telling people to get loans or do anything crazy to make something like this happen. If you do miss the boat, I plan on doing this for the long haul as long as I can make this sustainable for myself. Or if XRP hits, then I won't even need money anymore anyways. If you missed the boat on it, we'll try to find the next opportunity for you guys. this storybook, the world's not a storybook. We don't have an end date. It doesn't just end, things just keep going. There's going to be more opportunities down the line. It started with Bitcoin, then it was XRP. Who knows? Flare could be next. I think that Flare's price won't move quite as fast as XRP's will. So you have options that you could diversify into. One of them could be quant. The legislation in the UK for quant is looking like 2027. If XRP hits early, I personally would start putting money into quant and kind of back off XRP after the domino theory plays out. Now, if the Clarity Act does not pass, then XRP is going to be the only token with clarity for quite a while. It's possible that if the Clarity Act gets torpedoed, and we're gonna find out one way or another on Thursday, but I've got the Clarity Act open here. It's hard to read. I don't think we're gonna go through it together, but I'm gonna link it in the chat at least, so that if this is something that you guys want to go through, like on your lunch break, or if you're having trouble sleeping, why don't you give that a good nighttime read? It'll take a couple hours to get through, but it basically tells you everything you could possibly want to know about the Clarity Act, and they're making some additions to it. I think some of it's under revision. We'll find out the truth of it on Thursday. There's some issues pertaining stable coins. Everyone's favorite party. I get in trouble in the comments whenever I say which party it is, but everyone's favorite party wants to make sure that you and I can't get sustainable income out of our stable coins through yield. That could be a big problem in the Clarity Act. That could be something that jams it up for sure. I could probably live without the stablecoin yield if I'm being honest, but it makes you wonder, like, why can't we just why can't we have nice things? I'm gonna catch up on the chat because I think there's some things that I missed. Here we go. So Black Gold, we got news. A Senate bill draft exempts certain crypto tokens from being classified as securities if they're the primary asset in an ETF. I saw that one. I saved that as a Twitter post. We can look through that in a little bit. So that does mean the ETF coins, XRP, Solana, Litecoin, HBAR, Doge, and Link would have a little bit more clarity than all of the other tokens available right now. Gotta see if was that Senate bill, the thing that I have to figure out, is that going to get woven into the Clarity Act, or is that its own bill altogether? Because that could change the timeline of things. The government moves really slow, and so if that thing's just getting put on the table now, that could be like a 2027 thing before it actually hits. But forward progress is forward progress. Vector says, things like this are a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Once every 120 years or something. 100% agree. I mean, I don't know that we'll see something like this for the rest of our lifetimes. So I'm thankful that I'm an adult and not a 5-year-old kid. Because a 5-year-old can't take advantage of this stuff. So if you got kids, do them a solid. Keep paying attention to this stuff. Make sure that you like the live stream. There's 37 of you in here, and I've only got 27 likes. I'm starting to get the hang of this streamer stuff. And take care of your families by getting involved in the most monumental generational change that we're ever going to see. That was not financial advice. That was purely entertainment. So don't sue me if things don't work out. Speaking of suing, I don't even know if I should open up that can of worms, but Jay Claver's suing Zach Rector. Does that mean if I were to say something bad about Jake that I got a lawyer up? That seems kind of problematic. Let's jump back over. I think I was looking at the Japanese bonds. Let's take a look at gold and silver real quick before we jump to Twitter. Gold up to 4,600. I think we're at all-time highs for gold. It was at an all-time high early in the morning around 7 a.m. 46.29. I believe that is its all-time high ever. Yeah, this is even bigger than the rally it had at the end of December, so interesting stuff. I've said on this channel before that gold going up, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's more valuable as much as it means that the US dollar is less valuable. Because gold is just gold, right? Like it's a non-changing entity or asset. Like it's just gold. You find a piece of gold from like the Mesopotamia, whatever. You find some gold from like the Aztec era. It's still the same piece of gold, right? So really what it means when we see gold ripping, it means the US dollar is falling before our very eyes. Silver, on the other hand, at least has application use for batteries, used in a lot more products than gold is. Yeah, I know gold plating is used in electronics, but silver is even more so. But silver is out of control. I mean, almost 200% to the year. Like, silver is outperforming the stock market by like a breakneck, like almost like at a 10x speed. And let's look. And I got the stock market open here. You know, the stock market's up. For some reason, this chart didn't have the percents on it. But the stock market's up maybe like 15% over the past year. I really wish that this one had the percents. I don't know why it doesn't. But anyways, this tab does have percents. Oh, let me make sure you guys can see the screen properly. I'm just going to hide myself for a second. We'll just throw myself down there. We're looking at silver. You got a 200x or 200% in 1 year. S&P 500 maybe 15%. So if all you did was buy silver, you've beaten the stock market. I know for us in the crypto space, you know, we're down like 20-30% since July. So I know it's rough. Trust me, I get it. But if you just hang in there, crypto will recover, and when it does recover, it's going to make even silver look like a bad deal. But I do think that silver could be something to have physical coins of. I've got a friend in my own personal life who is he is basically Dale from King of the Hill. He does not have a 401k. I shouldn't be airing him out like this. He doesn't have a 401k. He has a safe filled with gold and silver bars in it. I'm just like, dude, you're crazy. But it's working out for him. I mean, he's got a crazy amount of silver. I'm not going to air him out any further than that. But I'm considering it, you know. It could be something to have. One thing I heard from another channel, I'm going to give credit to Myron Gaines for this one. I'm not sure if you guys know him from Fresh and Fit, but he was saying if you ever have political turmoil where it's so bad that you have to flee the country, having some physical gold or some physical silver, by the way, what I'm about to suggest I think is probably illegal, but this is just conjecture. You could bribe, you know, border guards with your gold, silver bars to allow you to leave the country so that, again, that was not advice, just conjecture. If you're in a situation like Iran where, you know, troops are starting to open fire with live rounds on citizens, if you're saying, nope, I'm out of here, this is not my hill to die on, having some physical gold or having some physical silver as like a I've just got to get out of here fund, you know, I do think that there's some value to that. I don't know if it'll ever come to that, but it's something to think about. Maybe having like $25,000 worth of silver coins or silver bars could be enough to get you out of a life-ending situation. Not saying it's ever going to happen, but if your goal is to stick it out for the long haul, it could be something to think about. Looking at oil, oil is getting a little bit more expensive here. I'm not sure how this will reflect at the pump. Gas has been cheaper, if you guys have noticed, for the past couple of months. With the seizure of Venezuela, let's look at ExxonMobil real quick. ExxonMobil stock going out of control. I guess as far as an oil stock can be. This is the kind of stuff that might bother some people, but you capture Venezuela and oil stocks go up. I mean, that's just the way the world is. I don't look at things from a morality lens. I just look at things as how they are. Trump moves on oil stocks go up. Could be something to look at. I'm not buying stocks right now. I'm more focused on crypto, but if crypto ever stopped becoming the best opportunity available, I would then kind of broaden things out and maybe consider buying stocks again. I had an Ondo comment I want to get to before I forget. So let me scroll back up. I got to find it. Hi, brother. Watching from the UK. Love your stuff. At what price point do you think you take profits at XRP? Let me get back to that one. I want to hit this Ondo one before I forget about it. So Ondo, I think, is going to be the industry leader for tokenization of real estate. I have a very, very, very small position of Ondo. I bought it just so that I would continue looking at it. That's kind of a strategy I have. Once you buy something, you continue researching it, because then you'll look at your portfolio and be like, oh, it went up or it went down. And it just sort of kind of keeps you coming back. So I bought some Ondo last year, enough to get a nice dinner at Red Lobster and not much more than that. But we'll come back to this one. Maybe I'll do an Ondo video. When you start thinking about tokenizing real estate, think of your house. Everyone's got a different size house, or maybe some of you guys are in apartments, but you tokenize a $250,000 house. That's $250,000 that gets moved on chain. With Ondo being probably in first place as far as real estate's concerned, you start thinking about tokenizing apartment complexes or even commercial office buildings. Like a downtown office building might be worth like a couple $100 million. You tokenize that, and you can start to see where Ondo might have some huge price action. But I think tokenization of assets is a little bit down the road. I don't think the industry is quite ready for it yet. I think we'll probably see mainstream adoption from a banking standpoint, like sending and receiving transactions, before we start seeing the tokenization of real world assets. But yeah, Ondo is it's probably my top 10, definitely top 15 for sure. Vector says, you shouldn't be worrying about current prices, just understand the bigger picture and all will fall into place. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. It's hard to really give a good price prediction on these things when we don't really know how far all of this can go. If you just follow the industry and follow the technology, it'll all fall into place. So I agree with Vector on that one. I can speak to flying into another country with silver coins. In December 2024, I left the US for Argentina with less than 5K in silver coins. No issues in the airport, was confiscated upon landing. Did you ever get it back? I'm assuming what that means is that you didn't. That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. If that is true that you didn't get it back. I guess I don't really know what you can do about that. I guess I'm just sorry to hear that. Maybe mail it. I don't know. I mean, maybe that doesn't work either. Um, I'm gonna go to Mason's question before I forget. Hi, brother. Watching from UK. Love your stuff. At what price point will you take profits for XRP? I don't plan on taking profits. Now, if I was going to do anything at all, maybe I would take just enough profit to cover my weekly expenses. But if this channel becomes profitable for me, then I won't even do that. If you're working a 9 to 5, which I'm assuming a majority of you are, or if you're retired and you've got like a pension, or if you're a veteran and you're getting retirement through the VA, if you've got money coming in that covers your monthly expenses, I don't really think there's an urgency to take profit on XRP, especially with Firelight becoming more and more available to us as time goes on. Getting that money staked, or not getting that money staked, getting those tokens staked is going to generate passive income. I don't, again, maybe something comes up and I need a little bit of capital, but I'm never going to just take my XRP and go buy a gold watch with it. If I ever do buy a Lamborghini, I would rather the Lambo, this might sound stupid, but I'd almost rather the Lamborghini come from the YouTube money than from my own crypto portfolio. But I do want a sports car eventually. I'm not saying that, it's like my life depends on it, but it'd be cool to have. I mean, why not? If I got a Lambo, I was thinking I'd get it cream colored with like some pink accent marks on it to kind of like for flair. I thought that might be cool. Or maybe do something that could have XRP on it, but I don't know. Just daydreaming kind of stuff. It's not that serious. What's the benefit of tokenizing a house? I feel like I know it, but I haven't had to say it out loud yet. So let me make sure that we'll give this a dry run. So imagine, if you will, that you go to buy a house and that house is tokenized. You could, in theory, just settle the transaction right then and there by, trading stable coins for the house or any number of things, and it could really eliminate a lot of the middlemans, especially considering that, like, it's actually pretty hard to get a house without going through a bank. So tokenization could be a way for someone who's crypto savvy to kind of cut out the middleman. But on top of that, it just adds another layer of custody so that, if you're dealing with problems like they have in California with squatters, people going into your house, having your house tokenized is just another layer of security to be able to say, this is my property. Again, I don't know that that's necessarily going to happen for a lot of people. I guess the best way to put it is that by having it on-chain, it gets to take advantage of all the other on-chain, features of, cryptocurrency. So faster transaction times, it just having it integrate with all of your other assets. So like you could have your house in your cold wallet. So imagine, if you will, you probably have like 50 different retirement sites that you got to log into. You got your 401k with Fidelity, and then you got your stocks with Schwab, and then your house is on like I'm brain farting here, but like Allstate or whatever. So you have all these different places that have all of your different stuff, and the only way to get them all synchronized, is if you have like a service provider, like someone like Hans 360 or UBS or Merrill Lynch. They have like an app for that. And if you could have all of your stuff in just your own cold wallet that you could just access from your phone. Again, I think tokenization of assets is probably a little further out just because some of this stuff needs to be fleshed out, but it's just I see it going that direction, even if I'm not necessarily able to talk about it yet from the tokenization part. Let's see. No Bags followed up with his silver. They wanted me to pay 3x the amount in US dollars as a fine. And that was over 18,000 US dollars. That sucks. I guess I don't really know what to say for that. I don't want to be disrespectful to Argentina, but I guess you kind of get that kind of stuff. If your money gets confiscated, what do you do about that? That's one nice thing. I mean, that's a thing that crypto actually prevents, and that's just one more reason to be excited for crypto is, you know, if you have something on a cold wallet, no one can get to you. No one can get to it but you. So if you are traveling internationally, you know, you just stick your cold wallet in like your backpack, and worst case scenario, they take your cold wallet. Well, they don't have your keys, so, you know, sucks to be them. Yeah, you lose your thing, but you can order a new cold wallet. Worst case scenario, they're like $150. You just reseed that cold wallet with your seed phrase, and all your money's still there. So just another reason I think crypto is the future, and not just from getting rich perspective, but also security as well. And I guess to that end, that would also be an advantage of tokenizing assets because, again, no seed phrase, no way for them to steal that. Crypto Topaz says, let's say you own your home outright and you tokenize it. You can sell partial tokens for extra money and also buy them back instead of getting a loan against your home and defaulting. Oh, that's a pretty cool idea. Yeah, I could see how that works. So you could basically split your house up into like 200,000 tokens, right? And then I think I'm getting it. I could see that being a good thing there. Looking at the stream, if you've just recently joined the stream, I just want to kind of recap for the people that might have been joining in midway. What I do on this stream, I stream daily, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We do a wellness check of the market. Then we usually hop onto Twitter to watch some current events, see what's going on in the crypto space, maybe do a video reaction or two. And then interwoven with all of that, I'm doing, you know, live Q&A. So if you are brand new here and you like what you're seeing, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and also make sure to like the stream. It helps the stream get picked up by the YouTube algorithm while I'm streaming, and additionally also the live playback as well. So I want to jump into Twitter. There's some cool things to look at. First and foremost, I got a shout out from Flare. They've also left comments on my videos, which is super cool. So they reached out to me. I'm going to talk to them and see, you know, nothing's happened from it yet, but that's happened literally just this morning. Very cool. You know, I just started this thing 2 months ago, so it's really amazing to see how far it's come. You know, I ran a failed fitness channel before this, so this isn't my first run at YouTube, but, you know, my old channel, I could barely get views, or like people would be like, oh, nice video, but like no one was really like engaging with it like they are with this. So I'm really glad I made the switch to crypto. Will says, would you suggest trying to get that 10,000 XRP goal before putting any money into Flare H-bar? I'm dollar costing 150 a week. Yeah, I think, you know, if you're stretched, I'd say go full XRP. Splitting into H-bar and Flare is something that, you know, if you had a lot of money coming in, maybe you had like a salary, 100,000 or higher, and you could just really pour money in, then maybe splitting into H-bar and Flare would be good. Otherwise, I'd say getting to that 10,000 XRP like as fast as you can. I don't know that the domino theory is going to play out. Nobody does. But if it did play out and you didn't have the 10,000 XRP by then, it's going to be very hard to buy more XRP from that point forward, So just by having 10,000 up front, you know, if XRP did go to $100, that's $1 million. If it goes beyond that, you know, every $100 is another $1 million. So I don't want to say that, you know, I keep bringing it up, but if Jake Claver's 750 prediction did come true, and I don't think it will, but if it did, you know, a 10,000 XRP would put you at $7 million. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I think it'll be more like, I think $100 XRP is very attainable in the near future, and then, you know, $700 to $1,000 XRP, that's like 2035 material, which is, it's still in play. I mean, think about 10 years from now. You know, it's a long time to wait, but if you're just patient, all of us here are going to be, we're going to be big balling. You know, we can move to Naples and drive Lambos. What's my, oh, here we go. What's going on, Robbie? Sir Aqua's, buddy from home. What's your thoughts on the New York City coin? This is the first time hearing about it. Oh, no, it's not. I did see this. That Eric Adams guy, that guy is a real creep. Yeah, dude. Okay, this is, yeah. We definitely need to talk about this one. So this guy, if you guys don't know, this dude is the textbook definition of a career criminal politician. And not just because of this. There was the perp walk he did with the healthcare shooter guy. And then it turns out he was money laundering, which somehow got discovered in a Sabrina Carpenter music video. There's a lot of crazy lore behind this guy. It's almost like a Wolf of Wall Street level movie where it's like, how is Sabrina Carpenter the reason people find out this dude's money laundering? Or like he screws up an entire case because he's perp walking a guy. Anyways, he launches a New York City coin and then rugged it. This has to be illegal. There has to be something. There has to be repercussions for this. Let's see if it's on CoinMarketCap. NYC coin. This is why on this channel we do not. Okay, this isn't on CoinMarketCap. If this story is true, then this is exactly why I don't mess with meme coins at all. I always tell people to stay as far away from this trash as possible. You know, people had this happen to them with Hawktua coin. You remember that one back in 2024? I mean, it's almost so frustrating to me. It's like, do people not realize what crypto is? Crypto is infrastructure for banking and digital finance. It's not a casino. This New York City coin doesn't do anything. So I don't know why anybody's buying this stuff, but I guess what it really probably amounts to is there's people out there that think, well, if I stick 10 grand in this and pull it out when it's mooned, then they'll be big ballin', get the Lambo, get the yacht, and the Instagram girlfriend. That's not what happens. All those people get rugged. The only one that works out for is the person who was advertising the coin in the first place. So if you're finding out about these coins, it's already usually too late to make money on them. I can't stress enough. Stick to the ones that have real research and development going on. If it's not on coinmarketcap.com, don't buy it. And I want to see, is this a real story or is this a meme? I don't want to be reporting fake news. Let's ask Google. Eric Adams NYC token. Is this a real story? Okay, it looks like there's enough news headlines here. By the way, I try to have dark mode on as much as possible in case you're watching this at night. I don't know if this website's going to have dark mode. Probably not. but let's see what they're saying. Monday night, after announcing his New York City token, wow, okay, so he did this at a press conference. So he launched a crypto. People bought up 600 million, and then it crashed. And then, so it has all the hallmarks of a dreaded rug pull, just like Hawk Tuah coin. Here's the thing. It remains unclear whether Adams received any of the proceeds. Oh, look, they even mentioned Hawk Tuah curl. So, yeah, so, that, you know, history seems to repeat itself sometimes. The question is, how much did he get out of it? I'm sure it's probably a lot. That's crazy. Why would you... This dude's never more than like a week away from going to jail. Why is this dude rug pulling people in crypto? Oh, that's amazing. Oh, wow. Hey, thanks for bringing that one up. Oh, wow. Even Andrew Tate. Wait, is this actually him? Oh, that's someone pretending to be him. Okay. There's a lot of fakers on Twitter, I've noticed. It's really hard to tell who's real and who's not. All right, let's hit the chat, see what we got going on. Scrolling back up here. Definitely top off your XRP first. Agree with that. Dean says, I can see a day coming where we aren't allowed to buy XRP and other utility coins at all. They won't want the little guy to get ahead at that point. Tinfoil hat. I think there'll be a day when the only way to get XRP, and probably even Bitcoin and Ethereum, and some of these other major ones that have ETFs is through the ETF. So I could see a point in time where you go to Coinbase, you can see the XRP token, but it won't let you buy it. And then you'll probably see that on, you know, like Gemini or Kraken. And so essentially what would happen there is that these exchanges would no longer have the liquidity to be able to give you tokens. And in some cases, we've even seen that some of these exchanges might only be giving you paper XRP in the first place, which is why it's very important that when you do buy a token to move it onto a wallet as soon as you can. I'm not sure I've ever covered this point, so I'm going to kind of unpack that a little bit. Sorry, I'm distracted by this very distracting video. Here, let me go full screen for a... So here's the deal when it comes to exchanges. If you buy a token on an exchange, there's no guarantee that they actually have the token you just bought. So you might have just bought a paper token, which means if you, the guy down the street, and your neighbor in your backyard, if everybody wants to sell their stuff at the same time, the exchange might not actually have enough liquidity, or they might not be able to actually fulfill that order, right? So like if you got 10,000 XRP and this guy does and that guy does, you all go to sell and then they're like, oh wait, you don't actually have XRP. You have a paper note saying you have XRP. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but it could. When you buy XRP, if you just move it off the chain, you know, the exchanges have the supply right now, then you lock that in, it's officially yours, and whatever mishaps come out of the exchanges down the road, you don't get wrapped up in that. And I'm not saying with absolute certainty that that's going to happen, but it's a very avoidable problem. For just like $150, you can get a cold wallet, and from that point forward, you're good to go. So that's my PSA. By the way, everything on this channel is my opinion and information only, or I hate doing that freaking statement all the time. Not financial. Don't sue me. Oh, jeez. Okay, let's catch up with here. Vector says the future is bleak. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, especially with the Clarity Act having all of those security and anonymity clauses in it that basically give you that digital ID. Not necessarily a good thing. But I don't know if there's anything we can do to prevent that at this point. So I hate to say it. I feel like we need the Clarity Act to pass, even if it's got some bad stuff in there. That's just my opinion. I think maybe tomorrow, to kind of like kick off the Clarity Act, I might do a pro and con video. Be like, what's the pros of passing? What are the cons? And then maybe on the inverse, be like, what are the pros of it not passing? And then what are the cons? Because if it doesn't pass, then crypto still kind of remains, you know, the Wild West slash like black market. And people that love their digital security or their gosh, I can't use this word, anonymity. It's like the hardest word to say out loud. But there's people out there that really value that stuff. So I think for them, not having the Clarity Act pass is actually probably in their favor. But I don't know. Personally, I kind of want to get rich too. You know what I'm saying? Hit the grok button on the post. I'm seeing this one too late. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I've never used grok. I'm assuming it's this little thing right here, right? I guess I can try it out. Let's see. This is my first time hitting grok. Wow. Okay, this is cool. I didn't know about this. How do I can't drag this thing over? I guess I'll just have to drag myself over. Wow, you guys, I feel like a boomer right now. I'm discovering things for the first time. Let me drag this screen so you guys can see it. So this is what Grok is saying about Eric Adams. He launched the meme coin on the 12th. It was through Solana. Big surprise. Solana is always the casino coin. Promoting as a tool against anti-Semitism for youth blockchain education. It surged to $500 million. And then after the liquidity was drawn out, it's only worth... Am I reading this right? Oh, okay. It crashed to 130. So someone pulled out 3.5 million. I wonder if that person is right here on the left. On-chain analysis from firms like Look On Chain and Peck Shield confirmed the rapid liquidity extraction pattern typical of rug pulls, with early holders controlling 98% of supply. Okay, that makes sense. This incident underscores persistent vulnerabilities in celebrity-endorsed meme coins. I'm gonna start using Grok more often. That was a great tip, man. I appreciate that. Let me drag my screen back over. That's some cool stuff. I like that. It's built to enslave. That's the hard truth. Yeah, man, there's some bad stuff going on. But it's even worse not to play, right? Another cheaper option to XRP is XLM. I like Stellar. I mean, it's still in my top 5, but I still feel like Stellar is really running parallel to XRP, and if XRP grows more, it's kind of like that Halo 2 analogy I made earlier. Like, you don't really use the carbine because the battle rifle is better. Even if the carbine is good, you use the battle rifle, and that's kind of how I see XRP and XLM. Caleb and Brown, is that part of the Keller or there's something Keller? I need to do more on that, but some people say it might be someone from the XLM board. There's a lot of like QAnon adjacent like riddles out there. I don't know. Thoughts on institutional custody? Not. I don't like it. I'll be honest with you guys. You know, the cold wallet's there for a reason. You get control of your own tokens. Once you go with institutional custody, you're giving your money to someone else, and it's the same problem with the exchanges. I think I know where this is going. Okay, it actually went in a different direction. I thought you might have been referring to, Claver's digital wealth partners, but even to that end, it's like, what happens if they go use your XRP or your tokens to finance a project that doesn't work out, and then they can't give you your tokens when it's time to withdraw? And then when you ask them for your money, they basically give you the ring around saying, well, it's currently locked up and we can't get it to you right now, but we'll get it to you later. And then you play this game with them and you just don't get your money back. Not saying that's going to happen, but if you just had your coins on a wallet, then that never happens in the first place. So I'm with Dean here. Maybe eventually institutional custody will be safe, but I'm not personally trusting it yet. A little off topic, can you tell us how you like doing XRP crypto content over fitness? What difference do you notice between the two types of content? That's a really good one. The fitness industry is, how do I use this? How do I use the right phrase here? It's very demoralizing. I was making content as a natural bodybuilder, so I was doing drug-tested competitions. So I'd have to pee in a cup before every competition kind of thing. The reality is that nobody wants to watch natural bodybuilding. And I kind of get it too. It's sort of like, here we don't have to keep looking at Eric Adams. A natural bodybuilder, I might offend some people with this, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Natural bodybuilding is kind of like WNBA, where yeah, it's cool, women's basketball, let them play, and why not? It's good, right? Have a women's basketball team, but then they get upset that they're not paid as much or that nobody's watching. It's like, you do all these things, but still nobody's watching. Well, nobody wants to watch women's basketball. They want to watch the game played at the elite highest level. And so as a natural bodybuilder, I had the same problem that I just wasn't big enough, body wise, to be able to keep up with some of these channels that you've probably definitely seen on Instagram or TikTok. And I kind of get it. It's like, if you really want to make it in the fitness industry, you probably do got to hop on gear. I wasn't willing to do that, so I was never really able to break out. And then the people in the fitness world can be really toxic. Why should I take advice from this string bean kind of thing? And I didn't like it. I had a really big interest in bodybuilding. I still kind of do, but I've moved on. I do marathon running now. I'm signed up for a marathon this year, actually. And I don't have to starve myself for 8 weeks to do a marathon. In fact, it's actually the opposite. I can, when I get closer to the marathon day, I could probably eat 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day, and you're just going to run them off anyways, right? So, marathon running, you can eat a lot more food, a lot more fun. But I don't know if marathon running makes good content either. I know you can find 10 million girls on Instagram. We're on mile 1. Now we're on mile 2. Yeah, I'm good on that. I'm happy right here making crypto videos. I don't really like attention-seeking behavior in the first place, and that's kind of what the fitness industry is. It's more look at me than anything else. That was another big problem I had with it, is all these people are like, this is how I would do, but it's like, you're not actually helping anybody. You're basically using your channel to humble brag about how ripped you are. One more final point to that. I wasn't aware prior to making fitness content how many creepy people were going to end up in my DMs. Girls in general don't actually care about bodybuilding that much. The ones that do care, you guys probably know where I'm going with that one, but lots of dudes. So I'm happy making crypto content. All right, I'm going to go back to the chat, see what I can catch up on here. Let's see here. Agree, Clarity Act has to pass before banks will allow to use. That's true for everything but XRP. I think the stage is still being set in the world. More time for sure. No Bag says Grok is amazing. Yeah, I'll be using Grok more. This is the first time I've ever hit that button. I'm kind of like this might sound weird, but I'm a little bit technologically resistant sometimes, which I know kind of sounds ironic considering, you know, what I've chosen to pursue as a career, but working on it. Steph says, if stablecoin owners like Circle make profit from using money that comes in to buy U.S. Treasury bonds, I'm not from U.S., but if bonds are 1, 5, 10-year bonds, how do they make money? How do they make money per day, week, month? Let me try to think of how to put this. That's a good question. I don't want to give you a BS answer, so I probably should just stick a pin in this and think about how I want to answer it. Maybe that's not the exact answer you're looking for, but I don't want to give you a BS answer. That is a really good question. Will says, I know you're against using a loan and using it for XRP and you're not promoting that route, but if someone wants to get a loan or use it for a credit card with a $50,000 limit, what's the smarter move? Jeez. You're putting me on the fire here. If you were going to do it, and I can't stop you, but if you were going to do it, you'd probably want to shop around and just get a loan that has the lowest interest rate. Credit cards usually have really, really bad interest rates, so you'd probably want to just get a bank loan. That's going to be on you. I'm actually recommending not to do that, but I understand that there's going to be people out there that, you know, we're all grown adults, can make your own decisions. Maybe just shop around, go to the different banks and see what the lowest interest rate that you can possibly get. I wouldn't go the credit card route. Vector says, once it's out of your wallet, it's not yours. It's that simple. I'm gonna hit that 100 button. Let's see, here we go. No bags. I see as gold versus silver. They each have their use. XRPs for large amounts, CBP, etc., and XLM for everyday use. Yeah, XLM's more of the peer-to-peer. So it moves in parallel with XRP. I think there's a good use case for it. At this time, I think that XRP's price appreciation is going to be much higher, which is basically why I'm not really buying Stellar right now. But I mean, it's definitely going to be used. So I'd start buying more Stellar in like a year or two. Let's see. I think X will use XLM for its X payments. I did see that there's some kind of partnership with X going on. I need to brush up on that one. Is there a lot of competition in the natural bodybuilding area? Not really. I would get to shows sometimes, and there might only be like 3 or 4 people that showed up, and that's from the like athlete angle. So I did one show where it was me versus 11 other people, and then I did one show that was me against 2 other people. And the show with 11 people is definitely more fun, but that was a national show. I had to fly to another state to do that one. I had to fly to Minneapolis of all places. But like if I was doing a local show, the turnout was really really poor. So it kind of made the whole entire competition feel very empty. I was like, it's almost like it playing. I'm a gamer. It's almost like playing World of Warcraft on a dead server. It's like, where is everybody else? So it was a lonely sport. I'm not sure that I would go back to it at this time. I did see this announcement. Will says, "Don't quote me, but I heard Trump is capping interest rates at 10% on all credit cards in the near future." So this is something I've learned from Trump, and I don't want to get like too political, but there's a difference between him saying something and it actually happening. Just a grain of salt, you guys. Just because he says that that's going to happen doesn't mean it will. So I'll believe it when I see it. CBDCs are inevitable. Get whatever you can in this new system before the old one simply switches to a controlled network. Yeah, I agree with that. The CBDC stuff is a big deal in the Clarity Act. And just in case you don't know what CBDCs are, I'm going to give you guys the actual definition. It's a central bank digital currency. So it's going to be a big player in the stablecoin space. If you didn't know what a CBDC was, you'll probably hear that term get thrown around a lot over the next year or two. If you guys have questions about what words actually mean, but the CBDCs were something that the Democrats are hung up on in the Clarity Act, which we'll probably find more about later this week when they when they torpedo it. Sorry, that was very pessimistic of me. Baller says Liver King was natural. Yeah, look what happened to him, man. I follow a Liver King on Instagram still, purely for entertainment purposes only. The stuff he says about Joe Rogan is would it be all right if we just watched one real quick? Oh my gosh. The stuff is so funny. We won't do too much of it. It is out of control. Would he have it on his Twitter? Maybe he doesn't. Can you get to Instagram from... I've never used Instagram on desktop. Let's just see if it even works. And maybe I'll do that later. Anyways, he's been doing some crazy stuff where it's almost like he's having like a psychosis episode, ranting about how he has to go fight Joe Rogan like to the death or whatever to defend his family. It's some crazy stuff. If I could get logged in, I don't want to log in because I don't necessarily know if it's going to make me show my password or whatever. So I'm not going to log in on stream, but maybe that'd be something fun that we could kick around. No Bags asked a question. I'm actually glad you asked this. I was kicking this idea around that with my membership program, maybe once a week we could do an informal stream where we could be way more relaxed because it would be a private stream. Swearing could be allowed. We could talk about more serious topics that are less sterile. And then if I was doing that, I could probably just stream a little bit of some gaming. I've been playing through the Halo campaigns all on Legendary. I'm working through Halo Reach right now. I've beaten every Halo game on Legendary before. I do it probably once every couple of years. The new Halo remake got announced like 2 months ago, which is what kind of like gave me that Halo itch. Beyond that, at one point I was pretty good at StarCraft 2. I got to lower master rank. I think it could be kind of fun to stream StarCraft a little bit. So it's something I think about, now that I'm streaming here on, covering the crypto news. I feel like I could probably stream gaming as well, but I want to stay crypto focused. So that would probably, if I did do something like that, it'd probably be like a membership only stream where it's very relaxed and definitely not as professional. We'll build that out as we go. By the way, if you guys did want to join the membership program, right now it's just $1. So totally optional for you guys. Don't want to feel like I'm pushing it too hard, but every little bit does help. It'll keep me operational, because as the channel grows, I think more money will flow in. But right now, the channel's not really making me much. So just something, if you wanted to help the channel, it's just $1 a month. Vector says, Will, to answer your question, 80% XRP is mean, then the other 20 diversify. I think I know what you're saying. I think what Vector is saying here is allocate 80% of your investment pool into XRP, and then 10% into, or 20% into your other alts. What I've been doing is Flare and HBAR. Probably going to start scaling up a little bit on quant, so maybe I'd rearrange those percentages a little bit, but that's a pretty good way to do it. Let's see what we got here on Flare. Scaling is sustainable when the foundation is secure. Let's see what this is saying. This is cool. So almost 100 million FXRP has been minted, which, by the way, does lock up some of the supply. I know that 100 million supply of XRP is not a lot, but it's more than zero. And I am like 300 tokens of this, because I couldn't get any more into Firelight. But once the Firelight pools open back up, I think I'm going to be more aggressive on Firelight. So the FXRP transactions are up to 1.5 million. That's pretty cool stuff. DeFi users, what is that? DeFi is 55% of that. So I guess I don't really know what that's saying, but this is cool stuff. Let's see what Grok has to say about it. Okay, this is kind of taking too long. Oh, here we go. Man, this Grok thing actually is pretty cool. Flare Network post promotes sustainable blockchain scaling on secure foundations, featuring a chart of FXRP total value locks surging to $150 million. That's cool. The linked Dune dashboard reveals 73 million FXRP locked. Only 6. Well, that's actually kind of interesting. There's only 6,300 active users. So maybe a majority of the FXRP is coming from just a small amount of people, or maybe entities is the better word to use. Amid rising adoption since late 2025, a community reply notes low 3% yields on locked assets. Well, I want to see what the yield is on Firelight. We don't know yet. All we have are Firelight points. And I have a bookmark for the Firelight points. Let me see if I can just find it real quick. Oh, by the way, let's talk about this one next. I'll look at those Firelight points real fast. I think it would have been on this one. So let me look. If I don't find it, we'll just keep moving. Oh, okay. Can't show that stuff on stream. Always got to be careful what other people are posting. I'm not seeing... Oh, wait. Maybe this is it. I'm looking... I saved a Firelight post. Maybe this is it. Okay, I think... Yeah, here we go. So this came out. I want to know about how the Firelight points work. I want to know what we can redeem them for. Maybe we'll see if this article has some more information. We're just gonna speed read it. We won't go through the full article. AMM liquidity is a core component of STXRP. Okay, that's great. Phase 2. So feature complete phase. That's great. The cover module goes live in phase 2. Slashing will be activated. We don't know when phase 2 goes live yet. They haven't announced a date. I think that's when the points will be rewarded with something. We don't know what it'll be yet. Oh, okay. Well, this right here at least tells us if you do have STXRP, holding it in the wallet gives you 2x. I haven't been able to figure out how to do the yield markets yet, so like I haven't been able to do the lending. I know that there's people out there that have done it, but I'm taking things one step at a time. This article, unfortunately, might have been a nothing burger. I don't see anything about what your points will actually do. That's okay. We'll just keep moving. Let me see how the chat's looking. When XRP gets too high, to put into the diversify and other coins. Yep, that's 100%. That's 100% the move. When XRP gets too high, move on to the other altcoins. I saw something I wanted to cover. I think this is hype. I think this is a hype post. If you're holding one quant, congratulations, you're so early. People are literally celebrating having one Bitcoin at 90,000 each. I don't know that quant could go to $70,000 or 90,000. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but this to me reads like a hype. This is almost like this almost like works against it, right? Because you read this and it's like, okay, this person's telling me I'm gonna get 1,000x on my quant. That makes me not believe it, but then this is why it's always good to do research and just go straight to where the news is. I think quant could definitely 10x over the next 2 or 3 years. 1,000x is just too much for me. Maybe 10 years from now, but it's hard to make projections 10 years out. This could be something to watch. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm pretty sure this is that Raul guy.
This is the full
we'll start it, and if it's boring, we'll keep moving.
Of trust. This is Gilbert's vision coming to life. This is why. This is it, guys. This is the real deal. Quant Fusion is not just another product that they've released or another add-on or another whatever. This is the full-scale launch of the Internet of Trust. This is Gilbert's vision coming to life. This is why Gilbert Verdian said that he had tears in his eyes when he was writing out the announcement. That's what he said on Twitter. This is not a joke, guys. I think 95% of people who have covered this, who talk about this, especially the YouTubers that haven't researched quant like crazy amount of time, they don't realize what this really is. This is not a joke. This is quant opening the door for us to go into the fourth industrial revolution. This is really what quant fusion means.
We got Train says bot post for sure. Are you referring to the tweet we looked at before or the video we're watching right now?
For my understanding, I've researched quant, like I said, over 4,000 hours in the last 5 years. I've devoted to researching quant, XRP, and utility tokens. The majority of the research has been in quant and XRP, probably, honestly, 80% of the research. And my understanding, this is Gilbert Verdian's 20-year vision coming to life. I explained in my other videos, if you watch my playlist on my YouTube channel, if you watch my Q&T playlist,
Dean says, talk about where and how to join the membership. Yeah, let's just do that right now. Let me show you guys. This is going to be embarrassing, but I don't, because I have the YouTuber creator page. I don't know what your side of things looks like, but you should be able, if you wanted to become a member, if you go to my channel, I don't know if yours is going to look the way mine does, but you should be able to see over here under membership. You should be able to find this. I'd have to log in on a device that's not like me to make sure this is correct. But if you come here and become a member, at least what I can guarantee you guys up front, you know, when I shoot a video, I post it usually the following day. So I'll finish a video at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and then I schedule it to post the following morning. If you're a member, you're going to get it as soon as it launches. So that could be a cool way for you guys to leave early comments to make sure that like I definitely see them. I'm getting about 100 to 200 subscribers a week right now. So if we just run the numbers on that, like 6 months from now, you know, I might be at like 20,000 subs. And at that point, it might start getting difficult to answer every single comment. So if you wanted to become a member, this would ensure that, you know, I definitely still see, you know, activity from you guys. And then if you wanted to really be a super donor, all this stuff is up to you, but you know, you could opt into a thank you card, and that would, again, if you wanted to be on that, be up there on the end screen. Just trying to think of ways to monetize this as we take this channel full time. Oh yeah, and there's a super chat button too. I appreciate you guys helping me with the business end of this. You know, I'm kind of a heads down guy. I just like making the content, so I appreciate you guys are helping me do the salesy stuff. I gotta get better at that. So I'm gonna let this guy keep cooking real quick because I think that he might be onto something. We're definitely gonna be looking at more quant because I'm finding out about this stuff in real time.
I explained that quant is the door for us to go from the third industrial revolution, which is the information age, to the fourth industrial revolution, which is the tokenization and the AI age. So quant is that door. I had explained that quant is the Microsoft Windows with a router on top for the fourth industrial age. So what Microsoft Windows did for the third industrial revolution, which was the information age, what Microsoft did for that industrial age, quant is doing for the fourth industrial revolution. So technically we would never have had the third industrial revolution without Microsoft Windows operating system. It's the same for quant. Now we're going from the third industrial revolution, which is the information age, and we're going to the fourth industrial revolution, like I said, which is the tokenization age and AI age. This is extremely important. And as per my understanding, the launch of Fusion is quant opening the door. It's quant opening the door for us to go from the third industrial revolution, information age, to the fourth industrial revolution.
Yes, I'm sorry. It's killing me that he keeps saying turd instead of third. I'm trying not to be a jerk. It's just like I can't stop grinning from it.
Absolutely massive. This is literally the internet of trust. It's wide open now. And he said he's going to do it in incremental stage. But still, this is it, guys. This is literally every Q&T holder, as long as you have enough Q&T, we don't know what the amount is yet, will be able to host gateways. Will be able to host blockchains. And so this is the hyper decentralization of blockchain, and this is the full adoption of this blockchain era.
Just to add some color to what he just said, it's in the video I posted this morning, but quant, unlike traditional blockchains, because quant isn't a blockchain, it's an operating system, your tokens is like a key card. The best way I explained it, which I did in my video, if you ever played old school PC games, they'd come out of the box and they'd have a CD key you'd have to put in before you could install the game. a quant token is kind of like a CD key, so it gives you access to the operating system.
Like I said, as per my understanding, this is not just an extra product or one of their great features. This is it. This is the Internet of Trust, like I said, and this is the biggest internet that will ever be created likely in history. There's nothing bigger than this. If I'm understanding this correctly, after researching quant 4,000 hours, if my understanding is correct, which I'm like 99.999% sure that it is, this is the full-scale launch of quant. This is the true launch of quant overledger. And so what happens is, as I explained in my other videos, you cannot get full adoption of blockchain in the fourth industrial age without quant. Like, we won't even get 1% adoption without quant overledger. It is the true interoperability solution that allows the whole world to build what are called multi-chain applications. So you can pick the best features of each blockchain and create what's called a NEMDApp, a multi-chain application. Only quant does that.
Train in the comments. Do you trust this guy? He seems really bullish on quant. I want to make sure that this is the real deal and not just hype. But if what he's saying is true, quant could definitely be something that we definitely take a look at going forward.
We can't go anywhere if we can only use one blockchain at a time, and then there's all these hacks when we try to do the cross-chain and so on. The second issue, like I explained before, quant allows the whole world, all of the legacy systems that exist, to connect to blockchain. Right now, all of the commercial banks, central banks, tech company, corporations, every use case that exists, every industry that runs this world,
I didn't realize that you guys can't see him.
Legacy systems means these are systems that cannot speak to blockchain and they cannot connect to blockchain seamlessly. Quant allows all of these legacy systems not only to connect to multiple blockchains at the same time and build MDApps, like I was saying, but Quant also allows all of these legacy systems to connect to blockchain in the first place. Because right now they can't even speak to blockchain. They can't even be connected to blockchain, so the whole world can start using blockchain.
So that's what I discovered in my research. When we were talking about how all these chains are siloed off, it's very difficult. Like if you're an entity like a bank or a financial institution, it's very difficult to manage multiple systems. And I can even speak to this on my own behalf since I worked in the SAP space for about 10 years. One SAP system does not communicate with the other very well. And so we had to run a lot of, you call them transports, or you had to run these automated batch servers that would connect data between these two systems. And it was really archaic and oftentimes didn't work the way that you would want it to. So what he's saying here is essentially the overledger will host all these blockchains so that they can connect with each other without having to do all the things I was mentioning, like with my own job that I used to have. So this would be like the future of that. So if that's true, Overledger will be kind of like a house, and all the different blockchains will be like the people living in it. I don't know if that was a good analogy.
That's the first thing.
Hey, thanks,
Second thing,
thanks, Robbie. Thanks, No Bags. Appreciate you guys joining the army.
Well. So what happens is,
we're building this thing together, one step at a time.
Networks to work, you have to host gateways. Gateways are literally the doors. They're like a bunch of doors that allow you to go from one network to another, from one blockchain to another, or from one network to a legacy system. And the way Gilbert Verdian set it up, because he wanted it to be hyper decentralized and he wanted it to be secure, he made it so that you can only host a gateway or host a door to connect all these networks, or host a blockchain. In order to host a blockchain, you got to have QNT. It's like almost staking, but it's not exactly the same. But you host a gateway or you host a blockchain using your QNT tokens. And you get rewarded for all the traffic that goes through that door, depending on how much QNT that you host. Sorry, I meant the more QNT that you stake, the more transactions that you're going to be able to.
So it's basically staking. Well, we're already probably pretty familiar with that.
Quant is going to kind of hosting the traffic, or I don't know if that's the right terminology, but the more QNT you stake, the more transactions that you can host, that you can allow the network that will go through you, through your gateway or through your staking. This is literally because when they asked Gilbert Verdian years ago on an interview, he said, was this like a centralized? I said, no, this is hyper decentralized because everybody can participate. Like, we're literally helping to decentralize this new internet, which is the internet of trust. So right now we have the internet of information. XRP, the XRP ledger, and the interledger protocol are the internet of value. Quant's the internet of trust. Quant's an overlay, overlays all of the different blockchains, including the XRP ledger and the interledger protocol, which is the internet of value. So Quant is technically the third internet being built, which is the internet of trust. The shared ledger, unified ledger, is the XRP ledger. Quant's an overlay that overlays all different blockchain, including the unified ledger, XRP ledger, which is the internet of value. Quant allows the whole world exists, all the legacy systems to tap into all of these different blockchains, build what are called multi-chain applications, like I was explaining earlier.
I got a question from Gary. I'm gonna wrap this video up and then we'll hit that one.
But you've got the internet of value being built, and you've got the internet of trust, which is Quant. Quant is likely going to be the biggest internet ever built, because it's interconnecting the internets and all the legacy systems, interconnecting everything. So it's the biggest internet that will ever exist, in my opinion, and we are able to participate in this new network of network. You could say that we are hosting the roads. We are providing the roads by staking our QNT and providing gateways. We are providing the roads. We are like the tolls. Every time something goes through that road, we get paid. So we're hosting the roads which will connect all of the different networks, all different blockchains, everything. Interconnecting everything, because it's a network of networks. It's interconnecting networks.
We got 2 questions now. I like what he's saying here. On my video, and I'm watching this for the first time with you guys. On my video, I made an analogy about how Quant is kind of like, or the overledger is kind of like a subway train, and then the turnstile is the token itself. So it's like the fee for using the system. And then if you own the tokens, like he's saying here, anyone using your let's say you have a train, then maybe the better analogy is that the entire train system is overledger and you're buying like a boxcar, and then people that use the turnstile are paying you to hop on your train. I hope that let me know if that analogy worked or not. I'm gonna hit these both of these chats once we've wrapped this video.
This is where we actually get to stake. This is where we see the hyper decentralization. This is where we see the flourishing of Quant Overledger, of this internet of trust, and the global adoption of blockchain technology, the global adoption of the tokenization and AI era. You have to understand, everything requires QNT. To host gateways, you need QNT. For enterprises to get licenses to be able to use Quant Overledger and build multi-chain applications, they need QNT. For developers to build on top of Overledger, they need to hold QNT. Anybody who wants to send data or money over Quant Overledger, like all these CBDCs that are being built on top of Quant Overledger, which are using the shared ledger, XRP, XLM, and all those other blockchains. But for the CBDCs, it's primarily XRP and a bit of XLM network. So it all has to use QNT token. You cannot MDApps, multi-chain applications that are being built on Quant cannot function, cannot do anything, and cannot move data and cannot move value without using QNT token. There's a fee paid for every time that value or data moves through the Quant Overledger network. That's what people have to understand. Everything requires QNT. To learn more,
It's interesting. I'm definitely going to keep looking more into Quant. A lot of people have been asking me about it, and I think the more I hear about it, the more I think it does have an overall piece to the puzzle. So something to definitely have in your portfolio. I'm not sure I'd place it above my other favorite tokens yet, but it's definitely entering the list. I'm going to do these last 2 questions, and then we're going to wrap up. Gary's B says, hey, do you do any research on the ICP? I know the chart looks terrible. My belief is that it has potential. Let's just quickly jump over to it before we close out. ICP was Internet Computer. I haven't had a chance to dig more into this, but yeah, the chart does look rough, doesn't it? ICO'd at 433 and now it's down to 350. Just from a chart alone, I mean, it doesn't look great, but I mean, it's really kind of gone down since it launched. But it did go up during the 2024 spike in 2024. So it went from $4 to 18. Then it kind of fell back down. You know, I can keep looking at this one. I don't know too much about it yet, so I don't want to give out bad information. So I'll have to do more research. I know someone said Dash earlier. Wait, what? DoorDash has a coin? Am I looking at that right? Oh, okay, here. Okay, this one maybe. Someone said to look at this, that it was up like 50% today. Oh, okay, that's cool. I don't know anything about this coin either. There's so many of them out there, but looks like yesterday it was at around 38, and now it's up to 56. So thanks for putting this one on my radar. We'll keep looking at stuff like this and figure these things out as we go. Last question before I close out is, we got no bags. If I need to sell some of my cryptos to pay bills this month, what would be the least bad choice to sell, Quant or Chainlink? Depends on what. I'll tell you what I have, and I have it for this exact reason. I have an emergency fund of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Those are the three that I would pull from. If you do have other coins, like if you've really got to sell one, maybe sell Chainlink. Otherwise, if you got like Bitcoin or even if you have stocks, you know, I don't know what your portfolio is, but I would try to hang on to what we've got as much as we can, at least until we get some kind of rally to climb up out of the hole that we're in. Because it's the truth of it is, we're really down since July of 2025, and I think that some relief is right around the corner. So maybe just peel off the bare minimum amount that you'd have to get by, and then just hop back in more when you've got additional income coming in. With that, we're going to start wrapping the stream. Like the stream if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel to find out when new videos come out. Stream Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then I've got pre-recorded content that usually comes out around 10 a.m. in the mornings. I may play around with those posting times to see when's the best time to get some general audience for that. In addition to that, the membership tab is available. I also appreciate your super chats. They don't go unnoticed. I'm going to learn how to display a super chat on the screen. I haven't figured that out yet. Taking everything one day at a time. And then special thanks to Dean for hopping in. Dean's made the coin. Ignore my sweat marks. Dean made the Dean made the coin right here. He does PPC laser. I got that up there in the corner there. We're gonna try and think of ways to make a merch store. So head over to his site if you want anything custom made, and then at some point we're probably going to have some channel specific items that you can buy either on his site, or maybe we'll start a YouTube shop. So keep an eye out for that, and ignore the sweat stain that I have. And we should all be good. I'm gonna wrap this stream here. Keep an eye on that Clarity Act. We'll probably have a video tomorrow specifically talking about Clarity, and then I think tonight's video, it might work on a scammer video. You know, there's been a lot of bots lately, so we might do an experimental video to see what actually would happen if you tried to get some of those cadoons that they keep blowing my videos up with. And then we'll kind of like pick that apart. Obviously don't do it, you guys, but that might be like a cheater buster video. We'll see. Either way, I gotta get lunch, make sure the dog gets lunch, and yeah, thanks for joining. I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow. Take care.